I have a very big problem, and it's a problem that my family is facing related to the justice system or lack thereof. It's been an ongoing issue, but more than ever, recent things have come to light that expose just how corrupt and just plain wrong our criminal justice, or very much lack thereof, system is. Can I tell you something? And I'm going to keep this brief because I want to talk more about Horcruxes because that makes more sense right now. Talking about Horcruxes, it actually does. I'll get there in a second. Did you know that when people commit a crime, they can actually push off their first court hearing? Like it already takes way too long for the court bullshit to happen. Like when someone commits a crime, they're charged with things, but none of it really matters until they're actually convicted. When there's a bunch of like bullshit hoops that they get to just easily swim through, because I'm going to say that, we've got public defenders, we've got criminals with money, and so or well, they don't have money, but their family does and they bail them out of shit. Do you know that someone can push off their court date if it's inconvenient for them? Like you can commit a crime, you can commit a felony and push off your first hearing. Do you know that sometimes you're not even always arrested if you commit a felony? Yeah, did you know that you can get a cute little letter in the mail that summons you? But again, if that first appearance isn't convenient for you, you can go ahead and push it off if you need to. The word continuance is equated with evil in my mind because it's wrong. There's another thing when people, if they ever do actually get convicted of their bullshit, there's something called stayed, meaning like, yeah, the crime they committed actually does call for jail time, prison time, time for this person to be away from the people they're harming, but that can be stayed. And they can instead, check some boxes, check in with their probation officers, and as long as they follow certain rules, they don't have to go to jail. Okay. Well, most criminals who are in that situation have learned the system and they've learned that they can get away with murder, or in some cases, fucking a murderer and being the perpetrator in that situation. So people can do that and just show up to court when it's convenient for them. And they may or may not even actually be convicted because they can plead to a lesser charge. And my situation, well, it's not me. I didn't fuck a murderer. Um, but someone did. And this someone has committed several other disturbing crimes, but they can just put it off. They can just show up when it's convenient for them. And in the meantime, do a shit ton more harm. Because here's a news flash for all the judges out there who are just turning tables. Because that's literally like I've sat in on sentencing hearings, and it literally is turning tables. There's criminal after criminal being sentenced. They get a minor little lecture, and then they're sent on their merry way. They're told things like, this isn't working. Yeah, you physically assaulting the father of your child doesn't work. I'm so glad you were told that so gently. You know who pays for criminals' crimes when they're just left out on the street, when they're granted continuances, when their jail time is stayed? Victims. Victims pay for their crimes when they are not appropriately held accountable. We have such a corrupt criminal justice system. If the criminals are white, there's that piece too, because it's totally different if you're a person of color. That's a whole other issue. Um, it's astounding what people can get away with. And here's the thing, they know they can get away with it. So they're going to just keep doing it. They're going to actually make a mockery of the justice system and commit heinous crimes over and over again because they know they can. They know what boxes to check to stay out of trouble just long enough to do more harm. But again, you know who pays for their continuances, their stayed jail time? Their kids, their victims. Because do you think that they're back in their homes? Do you think that they're back out on the street, going to the farmer's market and picking out flowers for their grandma? No, they're harming more people. They're abusing their kids. They are continuing the cycle of abuse because guess what? They're not rehabilitated. They turned tables. They helped you check your boxes. Yeah. So much needs to change, and we cannot look to our existing structures. We can't. I think rather than relying on the justice system, laws, judges, the whole court process, I think that we should start looking for Horcruxes. Okay? That makes more sense to me. I rely more, I think a Horcrux hunt is actually more reliable than um, the justice system. I feel much more comfortable, you know, with the belief that uh, perhaps the reason there's evil in the world is because some sort of evil dictator hid pieces of his soul all throughout the world that are just kind of surviving and making sure evil dictators keep reincarnating and doing more evil. Have you ever noticed in like all fictional stories such as Harry Potter, Stranger Things, fucking Marvel, that the government doesn't really seem to know what's going on, right? In Harry Potter, the government's kind of like an oaf, right? It's Cornelius Fudge. He's denying the evil that's right in front of him and actually working against the heroes. And in Marvel, I mean, I'm not familiar with all of Marvel, but notice, okay, take Civil War, for example, the government is trying to keep them in check, but like via paperwork, via control, they don't really help out a whole lot. Like they have to enlist otherworldly heroes to actually protect the world. Stranger Things, I think we can all agree, got a little out of hand the last few seasons. I think we could have wrapped it up before that, but again, um, the government isn't saving anybody. There's branches of the military, the government that are actually doing illegal, heinous experiments. And the rest is kind of just like either ignorant or trying to cover it up. Meanwhile, a group of kids is saving the day. What's interesting is like we see these things as fiction, but I feel that fiction writers are actually tapping into a very real solution. We cannot look to the existing structures for help. We have to get creative about the kind of help that we are seeking. We literally have to go on a Horcrux hunt. Okay. We have to get a small team together and actually logistically look at, okay, where is the evil in the world? Like, where are these little pockets of evil that have survived and are like festering and creating evil structures, evil regimes? What is the source? What is the poison? What is the root of this evil? Okay, why do we live in a system that rewards criminals? Why do we live in a system where leadership means that you can be absolved of your crimes? Why do we live in a system where we don't look at what's right in front of us? Because I have looked evil in the face, and it actually makes itself pretty well known. Look at anybody who's in the media right now who's saying and doing evil things. They don't look well, do they? They look rather decrepit. Not great. Well, it's because they're not exactly Harry Potter, are they? You know, they're not exactly Black Widow. They're not exactly Eddie. Oh, Eddie sold drugs. I shouldn't use Eddie from Stranger Things. Everybody loved Eddie, so I was thinking of him. But he had some good intentions when stuff got real. He rose to the occasion. Okay. But you see my point. They're not exactly heroes. They don't look great. They're not exactly even fully human. So when I say we should go on a Horcrux hunt, I just think that what that really means is maybe we need to stop putting our energy into a bunch of political campaigns. Because I looked into how much political campaigns cost to run. Millions, in some cases, billions. Why are we spending millions and billions on deciding who to elect when we could actually use that money to solve some problems that we collectively have? Like, think about that. How does it make sense to pool our resources for campaigns to decide who's going to lead when we could use that money right now to, I don't know, take care of people? But instead, we're pouring it into a bunch of political propaganda. It actually is kind of batshit, okay? Unpopular opinion. There's some political people who I kind of think, okay, maybe they're a good idea, but not really. Like, I don't actually really trust anyone. And I don't think our existing quote unquote democracy is the answer. Clearly, it doesn't work. To quote that wonderful judge, this isn't working. Okay, it's not working. I don't have all the solutions. I really don't. But I do have one. I have a starting point. We maybe need to start coming up with creative solutions for how to build a better world where people can't literally get away with murder and rape and just walk around, where victims aren't talked into accepting a lesser sentence for the people who harmed them, who committed crimes against them, where they're not talked into accepting a lesser sentence because that makes the court process easier for those involved. Or because, well, if you take this to trial, they might judge you. You don't know what you're going to come up against. And I'm telling you this from direct experience, from not just one crime that was committed against me and my family, but multiple. Like I've been, by prosecuting attorneys, I've been talked to like, yeah, you should just accept this. It's a lesser conviction, but they'll maybe serve the same amount of time. And oh man, if you go to trial, they could judge you, by how your shoes look, by how your hair looks, and just yeah, it's not right. And to my other point, again, the people who pay for criminals just being able to put off court dates are like their families, are the people who they commit crimes against. Somebody has to absorb their disturbing, erratic criminal behavior. When they're just out, when they're just pushing off dates, when they're released on bail, somebody is absorbing their abusive behavior. And it sure as fuck is not the judge who gave them that continuance. Nah, it's the kids they're abusing. It's the victims they were stalking. it's it's the random person on the street who they decided to attack. Like, do you think this is right? Do you think this is how things should go? It's not. It makes more sense to me to start looking for Horcruxes. So, I always try to end with some action items. I try to just like give some solutions. Well, this is a really big problem, right? This is like years and years of injustice and years of a corrupt government just functioning under the guise of liberty and justice for all. But that's really not the case. It's liberty and justice for criminals, white male criminals, and actually some white female criminals as I'm learning. So you can't solve this all in one night, but I'm actually sort of serious when I say maybe we should start looking for Horcruxes. Maybe we should start looking for those little hidden pieces of evil that keep creating this culture of injustice. Maybe we should be honest about the crimes that the colonists committed, and not just in a, you know, way that acknowledges that once this land, belonged to indigenous people, like I acknowledge that I'm on this land. What if we gave the land back? I know, right? Like, what if we actually gave it back? What if we found a way to actually, we can never, reconcile the horrors that have been done, but what if we can give it back? I think we need a new solution, not more, you know, propaganda propping up the old ways. Because frankly, I don't trust democracy. Look at where it's gotten us. It doesn't work. Look at where we are right now. It it doesn't work. I don't want to put all my time and energy into these political candidates who I don't even fucking trust, man. Like, I don't know them. I I don't like that millions and billions of dollars are being spent on campaigns. Like, again, how does that make sense to spend millions and billions on deciding who gets elected, on just deciding who's going to serve the people when that money could serve the people, could solve some problems today, not several months down the road once they're elected and sitting in a room with a bunch of other people who are just sitting in a room. Maybe the people who have looked injustice in the face should be the ones determining what justice looks like, what taking care of people looks like. So come on a Horcrux hunt with me. Maybe Batman or Spider-Man or Batwoman really exist. Maybe they'll save us. Again, like, the heroes in the stories are the vigilantes working outside the law. And you know what, quite frankly, I understand because the law sucks, man. Like there's too many chances. There's too many things that people can just get away with and do more time harm in the meantime. So let's just start looking for Horcruxes. Let's just figure out, okay, why do these evil systems keep uh, being resurrected? Okay. Why do I feel like I'm actually being led by Voldemort? And that people look at him and go, yeah, this guy has the answers. And I'm not even just talking about one particular guy, okay, the obvious one. I'm talking about like leaders in general. Like there's just so much obvious corruption disguised as patriotism and I don't know, democracy. And I'm just not buying it. So I can't say anything else besides just I encourage you to tap into your own creativity. I encourage you to look to fiction writers, okay? Like look to the storytellers of our time, you know? I think some of the popularized fiction like Harry Potter, and even hell Marvel is sending a message of, yeah, the heroes aren't the government. Like actually think about this. In what story is the government ever the hero? Yet we look to these people as our saviors. We look to the people hidden behind thick white walls as those who are gonna protect us. Okay, I know there's some good people in there. I know that, but it's not enough, is it? It's really not. We need a much more powerful change, new age. We need a world where the victims are the ones who are taken seriously and resourced, not the criminals. We need a world where the victims are the ones who are given the time that they need off of work or to get or the actual, attorneys to represent them, not a fucking state attorney who doesn't give a shit. Because I'll tell you, when a crime is committed, some state attorney is assigned to the case and the victim's just the victim. They don't have a huge say. Their perspective is considered, but at the end of the day, they don't really get to decide. They kind of have to roll with where the prosecuting attorney is going. That doesn't seem right to me. We need more power and resources for victims. So, I don't know. Maybe you do, though. Part of the reason I'm saying this is because I'm actually like looking for someone who can help. There's someone out there who has ideas that can fit with mine. There's someone out there who can create with me. There's someone out there who, you know, can be my Robin if I'm Batman, or hell, maybe you're Batman and I'm Robin. I don't know. You're Black Widow, I'm Gamora. You're Gamora, I'm Black Widow. We're a team, though. That's the point. There's someone out there. And this is kind of why I'm recording it right now, is because I got a feeling that there's somebody out there who can help. And maybe they didn't know that they could help until they heard this. So, who are you? Um, you can always email me at jdill@lovingcreatively.com. I always link my website in the show notes, so you can email me. But I need your ideas. I need your help. And I know you're out there. And all of you who are for sure out there, who come every week, I'm always grateful for that too. So thanks for joining me at night. I don't record a whole lot at night, but I just needed to say some things and maybe you needed to hear it. But I have hope, okay? Like, I wouldn't be angry about this if I didn't believe there was something we could do. I just don't have a clear answer. All I know is that we can't look to what we have right now. We've got to build something else. And I need your help to build it. So reach out with your creative ideas. Maybe you want to be my partner. Maybe you want to build something with me. But no matter what the case is, thanks for coming.